Okay, so we have our setup ready to go. We have juiced 1 whole lemon to make about 1/4 cup of lemon juice. We've measured out 7 cups of granulated sugar, and that will be used in our fig mix. I have our figs from our fig tree in the backyard at the Ximenez-Fatio House. They're all trimmed and ready to go. If you are looking to use a different type of fig, you may want to quarter them down. Of course, remove the stems. Those won't cook down very good. So our figs are a little bit on the smaller side, so we're not going to trim our figs up too much, and we'll just kind of mush them up in the pot as we cook them. Mush the figs down. They're nice and soft already from being frozen. And then we'll gently turn up the heat a little bit gradually to get that sugar nice and melted. Now, when they start to get to the point where they're breaking down a little bit more, you're gonna want to go just a little more gently so you're not getting your figs completely into a puree, but still have some texture. Just want to keep stirring to make sure that nothing gets too stuck to the bottom and starts to burn. So one thing that we're going to do while we are waiting for our sugar mixture to cook down is get our water going for our water baths for our canning. So I have 2 large pots here. They will both fit about 4 jars of our 1/4 pint canning jars each. So we'll want to get that water going in a really nice steady boil for when it comes time to go through the canning process. Okay, so we have our fig and sugar mix up to a nice rolling boil now. Continue just kind of smooshing our figs down a little bit, and we're gonna boil this at a nice hot rolling boil for about 10 minutes. At this point, we have had our mixture boiling for about 10 minutes, and as you can see, the sugar has really dissolved. It's getting nice and thick. Our figs have started to break down, and the bigger pieces have floated up to the top. So we're going to do our first spoon test, and basically we're just going to get a regular tablespoon, and we'll stick it in here to test our sugar consistency. And it's getting pretty thick. Not quite thick enough. See, it's still dripping a little bit. We want it to really drip very slowly. So let's do another 5 minutes, and we will check it again, and hopefully we'll be at the right consistency then. Okay, so as we can see, our mixture has gotten quite thick at this point. It's nice and golden. The figs have mostly broken down, and we want to leave a few of these chunks to make it real nice in our final preserves. Looks very pretty. We're going to do a final spoon test, and there you go. It's dripping nice and slow. We have a canning funnel. I'm going to put that here in our first jar. Turn our mixture down. And we'll take our ladle and do a nice big scoop into our jar. Now this mixture is very hot, so we want to make sure it does not touch your skin. We're going to fill it to just about 1/2 inch or so from the top of the jar. As you can see, when we pull it out, there's a little bit of room there. We'll just top it off a little bit. You want to leave a little bit of room for air for the sealing process, so don't fill it too much. Do our second jar. And with each scoop, get a few chunks, a little bit of the liquid, make it nice and pretty so we're evening it out amongst each of the jars. Now if you have an electric stove, you want to make sure that you do keep continuing to stir your mixture, just because the residual heat will still continue to cook as we're filling. The candy is really, I think it's a very daunting task to a lot of people, but it's really very easy. It's kind of something fun you can show off to your friends. Makes very nice Christmas and holiday gifts. I'm going to take the jar, make sure that you have a towel. The jar will be very, very hot. We're going to screw the lids on very tight. We have our canning lid and our canning ring. Very tight. Now we have a pot of water already boiling here. This pot takes about 4 of these jars. Make sure you check before you do your canning how many jars will fit. And you want to ensure that there's enough water in the pot to cover the jar completely. That's very, very important for the sanitization process. We're going to take these jar tongs, put each of the jars into the boiling water. Being very, very careful, it is very, very hot. Now when you put the jars in, you want to make sure that they're not touching. You could probably fit another jar in here, but we're not going to because we want to make sure that there's enough room so the water is getting all the way around. As the water boils and the jars become sanitized, we are going to do this for about 10 minutes, and then we will take them out and go through the cooling process.
So, what do you think about fake preserves? If you've been hearing a strange snarling noise in the back of any of our videos, here's the culprit. Criminally adorable.
Are done processing in the hot water bath. We're going to take our canning tongs and gently remove each one. Put them over here on our towel. Color is just beautiful. I think you can hear our friend Hambone over in the corner there. He's anxious to try some. Okay, now we're going to put our second batch in here. Okay, now we'll go for another round. As far as these, we'll let them cool the way that they are in a few minutes after, probably 30-40 minutes after they're cool enough to touch. We'll flip them upside down so that the air gets pressed out, and they will process for about 24 hours. You'll see that the tops will start to indent. That's good. That means the air is pulling out of the jar, and the sealing process has taken. If you have any where the lid doesn't indent, that's okay too. It's just not processed for preservation. Eat that one first. Keep it in your refrigerator for about a week or so, uncovered. But the others will last for about 18 to 24 months.
Why are you recording?
Just a kiss.
Okay.
Do you have any critic reviews?
Stinks and I don't like it.
It's wonderful work. It is wonderful work, Stephanie. It's very tasty. I do like it. It would go good with brie and lemon curd.
What?